if it was illegal to say stupid things into a microphone.
Why must you be so stupid?
These guys would be doing life without parole.
Hey, everybody, we're back from prison.
Why do we keep encouraging this kind of behavior? It's the Breaking the Ice podcast with Josh Dolan.
You know, we could, go to jail for this.
Along with Mike Shue and Isaiah Moskahana Mana Blitz Moskowitz, whatever the hell his name is.
Ooh, what's that show?
This is Johnny Walker Black.
Oh, not Fireball.
Fireball. I'm sorry. I'm a heterosexual male.
What?
What?
Yeah,
wow,
that's
that
right.
makes no sense.
Yeah, it does make
No.
sense. What happened? What happened? What happened to men when they used to drink whiskey, but now they're drinking? What are those stupid ass barstool drinks called? Pink ladies,
Pink Whitneys.
Pink Whitneys. Are you kidding me? What happened to men who drank liquor that burned? You know, instead we got guys wearing skinny friggin' jeans, no socks, and bucks, and they're drinking Pink Whitneys. What the hell happened? What happened? There's guys walking into liquor stores.
They got paid
and
off.
They're buying sleeves of Fireball and scratch tickets. Scratch tickets, I
good
get.
for you.
Fireball's good for you. It's pancake syrup. That's what it is.
Fireball is good for you.
It's good for you if you have a scratchy throat with allergies or whatever. You know, it's just.
Actually, I agree with that. What's really good for a scratchy throat is Grand Marnier. It's actually very good. If you heat it up and put it with a little boiling water, you have a sore throat, it'll take the pain away for a little while. It's nice.
That is so French. I don't even know what it is.
I know. It's purely medicinal.
Grand Marnier.
Yeah. But
Sounds like I
I'm
can't.
sorry.
They opened a
Fireball. Really?
They opened a fucking weed.
The last thing he said was,
Weed.
All right, you dumped out. So what we heard, Isaiah, was
The internet connection on this fucking thing is shit. You guys are
last thing we heard is they opened a weed, and then it stopped, and we were like,
It's kicking in for us too.
a weed what? Carnival, theme park, marina, OBGYN,
Mafia operation.
my internet
Bodega?
connection is being a fucking cunt right now.
Wow, you figure Marblehead would have that shit down.
All right, we're done. Nah, we don't want anybody coming in here. Fucking cunts. That's twice. So is Instagram going to push us down because I said that? I'm going to go on my phone. Eat me.
No, you sound good right now.
Oh, okay. You have it perfect. Okay.
It sounds grown. Damn.
Oh wow.
So
Well-
Josh, how's the baby? Let's have some
baby
baby
is-
talk here while Isaiah's out of the room.
The baby's great. She just turned 9 months, and she's starting to show like a sense of humor, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
pulling herself up and standing on things, and it's a lot more exhausting. Everyone keeps saying the older they get, the easier it is. I'm
No.
like,
No.
now she's on the move. She's just constantly looking for death.
Right. Right. Once the legs start working, they're so fast. You could hear, a car backfire and turn your head for 2 seconds and turn back. They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
They've set up several shell corporations in South America. They're on a yacht, doing influencer videos with energy drinks and shit like that. They're so fast, Josh. I can't tell you how many times, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, out loud, but how many times I lost Chloe at the playground, just turning my head for 2 seconds going, oh, what kind of dog is that? And then turning around and going, where the fuck is she?
That's
so
not
fast.
a good feeling.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I remember my family lost my brother once on Wells Beach, and the Coast Guard was about to call in a helicopter. It got so bad.
Wow.
Jeez.
Turns out he was just hiding behind a rock. So nothing bad there, but yeah, she is she's on the move, and she is starting to like play games and stuff. She's very fun and funny, but
good.
It's I just can't believe how quick it is. Like I was like, 9 months ago, I had to like hold you weren't alive. And when you came out, I had to support your head. Now she's like, if I'm not giving her something fast enough, she's like pulling my eyeball out of my head because she's angry with me.
Yeah.
Like this
It's only a amount of time
quickly.
before she's supporting your head. Let's be serious.
Yeah, that's true. It all comes around into a circle. She'll be changing your diapers. She'll be feeding you with a spoon, mushy stuff. And she'll be holding up your head.
She'll be putting my shows on for me.
She'll be trying to hold up your head and make you sign that piece of paper, handing over,
that
everything.
is called financial exploitation, Mr. Shoe.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, you know what? I'm just happy I'm in a place where there's something to take. So
that makes her the dummy, right, Isaiah? Because really, what kind of financial control are you going to have over Josh Dolan?
Correct. Like if you're going to come out and try to rip somebody off, you better go get adopted. Get out of there.
Right.
Then try to rip them off.
Yeah.
Well, Josh was funny the other day. I'm helping his I can talk about this, right? Josh with Jeremy.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah. So he reached out. He said, it's just he was looking for. He's in high school and he's finishing up senior year and he's working on broadcast or whatever's happening at his high school. And so Josh reached out and said, hey, I can reach out to Ray Croft because I know him, but I do business with them. Can you blah blah blah? So I reached out and say, hey, Sports Hub, NESS and NBC Sports. Hey, can you guys do internships? Sure, yeah. Quick as shit, I call up Jimmy Donuts. I said, hey, listen. Well, first of all, I called Jimmy Donuts and his fucking voicemail was full. So
Jimmy Donuts only is a busy guy, he writes comedy for like hundreds of people.
That's sure. That
I mean, panhandlers across all the New England states have Jimmy Donuts material written on index cards. Yeah.
Or Clara needs to skip multiple generations before she does financial exploitation with anybody. Point being, I digress. Josh is like, hey man, thanks for doing this. And within 5 minutes, I've got two people going, sure, give me his resume. And Josh goes, I swear to God, my brother's going to be making more money than me in fucking 2 years.
Yeah, well, I'm
and you're not wrong.
And Clara's going to be making more money than you in 2 years.
Right.
She probably will. But also, I was saying that just because I'm like, I wish I had a brother that could just make a phone call and get me an internship like that. I had to find my way blindly.
Well, you don't ever call us.
Where was your first internship, Josh?
WZLX.
Okay, and was that a paid internship?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. So you were probably one of the last generation to actually do a real internship.
Yes.
Right. Because when being an intern meant you did everything for free. You did it for experience points.
Yeah.
Or academic
or credits. Right.
Academic credits. There was academic credit. Right.
And networking.
Right. Networking, that whole deal. But nobody got paid.
No.
And then somebody somewhere along the line complained about getting somebody coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then now internships mean you have to get paid.
You don't get paid to go to class. Like that's a job that you're getting.
Right.
Exactly. That's Mike's point. That's his point.
I took 2 years of like anal fisting from Charles Laquadera.
Oh.
And I'll tell you right. No, not literally, figuratively, of course. His wrists were tiny. They wouldn't even touch the edges.
Well, Shu has to say.
Wait.
They
Did
settled.
Tank get in? Did Tank get in there?
Tank. That's a big fist.
Right.
Tank was a big man. In all, like in every meaning of the word, he was a.
If we go around the horn, not to get away from your internship, Charles Laquadera, Tank was in there, so you probably met who was the voice guy? He had a little
Billy
wrist.
West. I worked very closely, and which was the thrill of my life watching that guy work.
Right.
He was a 5-tool player. He could do every voice. He could write comedy. He could produce it. He could play every instrument on the planet, and he was a really good mentor too. On top of all that, like if you asked him for advice, he shut off all the comedy and said, listen, this is what you should do. And he was really just a good guy all around. Yeah.
The only thing you'd know him for, not the only thing, but he's still, I believe, that Bumblebee on the Cheerios commercial.
Right, the Honey Nut Cheerio bee.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
And
but Jesus Christ,
don't forget he did a bunch of voices on Futurama, including Fry, and that's coming
nice
back.
Paycheck.
Yeah, I remember taking my daughter to the one of the Comic Cons up in Wilmington, and he was there, And walking up to him, it'd been a long, I mean, I don't know, 20, 30 years since I talked to him. I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. You know, I used to have hair and I interned for Charles. He's like, oh, I totally remember you and stuff. And I said,
Well,
my
let's
daughter
be
wanted
real.
to meet. Well, yeah.
You're in Boston, and you're most likely one of the only, Chinese guys in Boston radio. So,
Well, interning anyway.
true.
Yeah, absolutely. At that time, yeah,
It was
absolutely.
between you and
Right.
one other person, like
It was
Janet
me.
Wu on Channel 5.
Yeah, as far as Asian people go, yeah. And then as far as minorities at BCN at that time, it was me as
And
an
nobody.
intern. Oh, Sherman Whitman, the legendary Sherman Whitman, who just
Oh,
retired.
no way.
He was a BCN news guy when BCN actually had a news department.
Right.
Again, super nice guy. But
we,
yeah,
we got away from the internship. So you went from not getting paid, you got fisted, and then we went down the BCN road. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so it's like, interns these days are like, it's a job because you're getting paid, right?
So you're just getting an earlier job is all that.
I don't know.
You're not taking a class.
I don't think for the case of your brother, they're necessarily paid, but you're right, Mike. There are fucking so many jobs that it's like you go through. Well, how much am I getting paid? Fuck you. Like, go work a little bit. Like, go show me that you can, come to me your senior year and say, okay, I'm going to do this for credits. I think what's going to happen for Jeremy, if he can get something in that situation, the radio side's not doing as much, but NBC Sports and Nesson, it may or may not be paid, but who gives a fuck? You're in there.
Yeah, it's the experience and the exposure that you get in the industry. You just need a foot in the door. It's hard. Well, it's hard to get in. It's even harder to stay in. But
oh god,
right. I was scratching at the doors of program directors.
Oh god,
I was like shoving resumes, under their windshield wipers. I was doing everything I could to get the attention of people.
I did
just
shit.
to get a non-paying position to take nothing but abuse and get people coffee.
But that's because you really love to do it like that. You wanted it more than other people, and that's what you have to do. Because I got people jobs at AAF that I knew from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and they would get in and they'd be like, thank you so much. I can't believe you helped me out with this. And then like 6 weeks, I think there was a few of them that like quit in a few weeks because they wanted to be on the air and have
so
their
fucking
show.
exhausting.
And they're like, this is going nowhere. This is taking forever. And I'm like, how about you show your worth first?
Right. Yeah.
How about you get good first, show your worth, and like learn from getting an entry-level job. And there was so many, I think there was 3 people I helped get a job. They all quit within like 6 months.
That's crazy.
You know what? That's what you just said right there, Josh. That's it. It's like, why don't you show them something? If you want
anything,
if you want them to notice you, you got to do something noticeable.
Yeah.
And then until then, get another job, get 2 other jobs, not to sound like the old man, but that's what I did.
No, you're not. You're coming from the way your parents raise you. I'm not going to say generation. That's such a shitty thing to say because then everyone sections us off in 10-year spans. But you were raised a certain way. You are raising your daughter a certain way. Your wife and you are a certain way. Josh does the same things. Laura, everyone's got their own mentality. In a case like that coming in and being gone in 6 months, it made my brain trigger. And I'd love to talk to someone if they said, hey, so how's it been for you since you got into it? If you really want to look at what was super important to me at the time, because I grew up on the North Shore and I listened to BCN and I loved that shit. I tried to get in there 500,000 times when it was not even remotely possible. I guess if you really look at it, in the grand scheme of things, it took me 30 fucking years to get an on-air shift at WAAF, and it was part-time. So you want to talk about taking your fucking time and working and doing what you got to do here, there, this, that, sales. Fuck you. You don't think I wanted to jump right the fuck in and be like, oh, Charles Laquadera, that guy's fucking awesome. Ken Shelton, oh my God. I couldn't hear AAF growing up. I could hear a kind of sort of scratchy, and I was always like, that's that cool rock station out in the woods. Because I lived on the North Shore, couldn't hear it. And how long you can't just walk in and be like, hi, I'm here.
Yeah,
Can I have a morning show? You can't even have a fucking internship.
Like
at all.
I want to give someone we used to work with, JC Coffee, right? You guys remember him?
I do.
Yeah. I still
Josh knows him very well.
So what was he doing up in New Hampshire?
He
a bunch
was
of stuff.
he was PD of the mill and
Mhm.
WZID.
Yeah, but didn't he end up being like an operations manager or something?
Yes,
Yeah,
he was.
yeah.
He was at Town Square. He was at Town Square Media.
Well, first
in
he was
Portsmouth.
at Saga when he was at Saga when he was at AAF, and then he had to quit AAF because he got the I forget, like
They didn't
the-
want him being on both stations.
yeah, and he got the WOKQ and the Shark up in Dover, New Hampshire. And
Well,
he was like
wasn't he PD while he was working at AAF?
Yes.
Okay, so this guy was a program director
Correct.
for a couple of radio stations,
Yep.
and yet still drove down to Boston to work
Right.
part-time on the weekends
Put his time in.
for WAAF.
Correct.
All right. Now he could have just like concentrated on being a program director and doing his thing in New Hampshire, but he wanted it.
Also,
And so
he didn't have an ego
put in-
about it too, where I'm not doing weekends, I'm a boss.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Fuck that.
Do you guys
Are you
remember?
kidding me?
Do you guys remember Keith Rice? He was part time for a little while on the weekends. Yeah,
No.
so he wasn't around long because he got a full time job or like a better job. But he was from Connecticut. He
Okay.
worked in. I think he worked in. I want to say New Haven. Could have been New London. One of those.
Was he
At a
working
top-
at like Real Radio 104?
Yeah,
down
he
there?
was. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
working at like I think it was a CHR down there, right?
Okay,
So
yep.
top 40. So, but when I met him one weekend coming in on a Saturday, I was trying to get some work done, and this guy's in there. I'm like, "Hey, I'm Mike. Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm Keith Rice. I do middays at this station in Connecticut, but I do one shift every weekend here at AAF." Because he wanted to get in. He wanted to get into a bigger market.
Yep.
And so even though he had an established job, he was still putting in the work.
Right.
Just to compare to someone who gets that internship and then after 6 weeks says, "This is going nowhere." Well, that's entirely up to you.
Well, how many people,
Yeah.
Josh can attest to this is, excuse me, when we put out fucking, we're trying to get people to sell the podcast, or, we're looking for people to help with some of the back end editing or whatever, there's a lot of attention, a lot of DMs and whatnot, but then, they all of a sudden don't quite understand that, okay, like, God forbid you spend the next 6 months getting guests for us every week, whatever. God forbid you work with Josh on editing or setting up the next live show. You're not going to be part of the schism. Gone are the days, I think, of Mike. We clearly go back a few more decades of, you're in that room and you're doing it in that room. And you're having to come up with content 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, because of course you had to do a fucking weekend shift and open up every AT&T store at fucking 7:00 at night, regardless of whether or not you did the morning show, blah, blah, blah. But then that one person who's always there, Josh, this is how you worked your ass right through all of it. You got your fucking ass in there and you started writing and you sat there and you answered phones and you did your shit. And next thing you know, you got a little bit here on the morning show. You became friends with Boom. Next thing, dink, dink, fast forward. Here you go. You're sitting next to Mike Shue doing fucking afternoons. But you didn't just walk in and be like, "Hey, I did a gig at Giggles. Like, shouldn't I be fucking here?"
I know some people in the industry that does do that, but
it happens everywhere. It's stupid.
It does, but I think part of that is how bad do you want it, and
Right.
I just know, because like when I was on doing the Hillman Morning Show, I lived in Dover, New Hampshire, which is about 80 miles away from Brighton, and
with
I
no
made
traffic, that's 2 hours.
yeah, and in the worst winter we had in a long time, it was like
Ever?
that record breaking. The first year was that record breaking snow year, and I just remember I was making no money and getting up I think I had to leave my apartment by 3 a.m. and to be able to make it there for 5. And if I even left 5 minutes late, I would be stuck on the Zakin Bridge. And I did that every single day. And I was so broke that many mornings I remember counting quarters and looking under like my seat and stuff at the gas station being like, "Am I even going to be able to make it to work?" Because I had to count quarters and then go in and then hope it got me there. And I just remember thinking like, one day this is all going to be worth it. Like, this is all for a reason. And
Right.
like I still loved doing that than if I was working at a place that I hated, making more money. So I think the people that were quitting after 6 months, I was frustrated because I was like,
6 weeks.
yeah, but all three of them quit within 6 months.
Oh, right.
And they were probably happy working somewhere else, doing something else for a little bit more money. And I just would not have been happy.
Well,
And
that's also a
I
good
saw
thing
the
because
big picture. I think people don't see the big picture of what you're doing, and
Right.
that nobody's going to give you permission to write bits and do extra stuff, because people are always like, well, I'm not getting paid extra. Like, well, then go home. I don't know what
Mike, Shu, have you seen the? And I know you've seen it now, Josh. The Showtime
oh my god,
documentary
yes. I've seen
on
it
the
3
Comedy
times
Store.
No.
on
Oh,
Showtime.
dude, it must have hit. I'm not even sure how Josh hadn't seen it because that's his jam. But whatever, I saw it maybe 13 seconds before he did. Maybe that was it. I told him like, spend the $10, stop being a fuck. And it is such a great documentary about a legendary place. So use WAF as the Comedy Store, like that place, that mecca, that 50-year thing that people wanted, or use BCN, or use, pick it, K-Rock in New York. This thing is so fucking good. I cannot
cried
think
through
of
the first 3 episodes.
it's so good. Certainly,
That doesn't
Josh,
sound like comedy.
but it's just the
Crying through the
nostalgia.
first 3
Funny
episodes.
about comedy. No, it was more of like a cry, like watching somebody lift the Stanley Cup and you
Oh,
get, like choked
okay.
up.
So
It was
good.
Like,
I finally finished it last night because I had gotten away from like whatever, and then I saw the last one last night, and really, it's just such a great piece. And Mike, you'll appreciate this because it's years and years and years of being at an institution, and hopefully there'll be a day where we can all go back and relive those things. Unfortunately, what we want to go relive is fucking not there. The Comedy Store is still there, and it's been through its iterations. And Pauly Shore's mother is the woman that ran that place. And oh my God, from the days of Richard Pryor to the dark eras of the early 2000s when nothing was happening to what it became again. And the last 2 episodes I saw they were really focused on Joe Rogan's, where he came from nothing. And there's I don't think there's a comedian out there that's not covered in this. And it's very similar to
who's a
what we're
big part
talking
of
about.
it is our friend Tom Dreesen.
Right.
A lot of
Oh my God, dude, Mike, you got to watch. It's really good, and you'll appreciate it, having been still in the radio business, but for as long as you have, where it's like, wow, that's in your head. You're going to go back to your early Bruce Mittman days. You're going to go back to your days of being. Didn't you say you were in Virginia for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the places that you were and where you wanted to go, and then when you got there, and how good it was in maybe Worcester, and how weird it may have gotten to Huntington Ave and 20 Guest Street and all this shit. It's called the Comedy Store. I think it's just called the Comedy Store, but it's fucking so good. It's really, I think you'll really enjoy it. We should dude, those are all your people, Josh. Like, fuck, we should have it's not like you just call Joe and be like, hey, come on. But like that thing.
I can call Tom Dreesen and say, come back on. That guy is the best stories ever.
And that episode would be just him. I mean, dude, the stories that they all told. Whitney, I mean, it's everybody from Jay Leno, David Letterman, Whitney Cummings.
David Letterman looks like Fidel Castro now.
David Letterman, he looks like the Unabomber.
He's fucking
He
awesome.
still makes me laugh so hard just with like the little things he like sneaks into his sentence where he's like, well, you had to guess the weight of a lemon and we give you a car or whatever. Just all those like David Letterman, like I wouldn't give his problems to a monkey on a rock. It's like
a weatherman from Indiana and you learn about these people, the ones that write and the ones that just riff and the ones that play off the audience. The great part about that, I think, and maybe you'll agree with me on this, Josh, is it was crazy how everybody used that room to practice. As scary as it was a place to go work out and do your shit.
It was
And
like
even-
an internship, and then they started getting a little antsy, and then now they're getting paid.
Right. That was a whole strike. There was a whole thing back in the day where there was a strike because
that's right.
Right. Mitzi never paid people because back in the day, that thing was a funnel to the Tonight Show.
Right.
Not every time, but it became a thing where you went to the Comedy Store, you worked out your shit. Next thing you know, you're on the fucking Tonight Show, which is the biggest show on the planet with Johnny Carson.
Right. That was the Tonight Show was your launching point into the next level.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So didn't Tom Dreesen, now correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, was he the one of the guys that organized that strike?
He ended up being the spokesman for the comedians.
Right. Okay. So he was like their rep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. I remember him talking about that.
And he didn't feel good about that.
No, he
it
didn't
was-
because he loved the people at the Comedy Store too, but he wanted things to get resolved.
And because it resulted in that guy jumping off the hotel balcony trying to hit the Comedy Store, and he was just like, I'm out. I can't.
Too much shit. But it's cool to sit and like the last piece they did, you've got Whitney Cummings, you've got Jay Leno, you've got Joe Rogan, you have Bill Burr. There's a young woman who's an up and coming comedian who's fucking funny. I can't think of her name right. Yes, dude, she's fucking funny.
Who was that?
Annie Letterman.
Annie Letterman, Ledderman. So she's good, and it's just good. I mean, you go back to when like Richard Pryor used to go in there. This is one of the biggest comics of the time, and he would go in there on a random night and just stink. But it wasn't because he stunk; it was because he was getting his reps.
He was freebasing.
Right.
Yeah.
Freewheeling and freebasing.
Right. Yeah.
Both. It's just a great. I like documentaries when they get into that shit, especially with shit that we all adore and comedies.
And I'm very happy that they included Michael Keaton in it and that he was able to talk about his days there, because I feel like I forget all the time that he was a comedian, and I feel like most people don't know. They think he was just started as an actor, but he was actually a really good comedian.
And what about the lady from 24 who played Chloe?
Oh God. Well, how do you say her name?
I don't know.
Mary Ann. I remember I interviewed, now I can't remember her last name. It's Swedish or Scandinavian, but it's like, I remember I had to interview her and like all morning. And it was one of the times where I had to fill in for Greg.
Yep.
And so it was like, I had to do all that, but all morning in my head, I kept saying her name over and over again. So I would say it right. And we finally get her on the phone, and I totally fucked it up. Totally.
That makes it worse because
and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. She's like, that's okay. I'm used to it. She was very nice, but it was just like, I couldn't, what is her Russ jab? I have to look that up now. It's gonna
Mary Lynn Rux, Raj Ski. You need some more vowels in there,
right?
My mouth doesn't
see. But she was a stand-up comic, and my first time seeing her was as Chloe on 24, which is not funny. This is a fucking girl who's like, I'm gonna help Jack Bauer save the fucking world from nuclear explosion.
She was perfect for that role because she was like a hacker, right? So she had to have that kind of sarcasm and that wit,
very dry
to give that. And Mary Lynn Razgub. I think that's how you say that.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're saying an actual last name in reverse.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Good. Yeah.
Razgub, and the last six letters are, I'm going to say the last six letters of your last name, they're silent. We're just not going to.
It's like, It's like,
what do you think the best part of that was, Josh? That I saw so much in there that was so good. Obviously, you cried your way through the first 3 episodes, but
I mean, I've known the history. I've been obsessed with like the history of comedy since before I can remember. I don't even know when I started, but I loved the history of the Comedy Store. And before I ever went out to LA, when I was like a senior in high school, I used to have like dreams about actually being at the Comedy Store. Like I wanted to go there so bad. And then I got there and found out I wasn't old enough. So it was down to the Laugh Factory. But
did you get a spot at the Laugh Factory?
No, I didn't, but I hung out there and knew like where the.
So you walked by the building.
No, I would go in, but I knew where the comedians would hang out, and I would like stalk the Laugh Factory YouTube, like when YouTube started first becoming a thing. So like a lot of people there didn't know their comedy, but I was obsessed with it. So I knew who they all were. And like I made friends with guys like Chris D'Elia. And so, yeah, I didn't get stage time, but you got to get there at like 5 a.m. and it's once a month. And
dude, Mike, going back to the tenacity of wanting something, the description of this woman, Mitzi, having such a methodical approach to what they called the door guy, right up to the people that got what was called passed, you know? So you've got people that would come in there, and that could be someone like Josh. And if Josh lived in LA, Josh would have gone in and gladly said, I'm going to be the door guy, whatever you need. But it's a group of people that are sitting people down, doing tickets. You're an usher, but you're also working your stuff, and but you're in the thing. It's just like us in radio. It's like you're in the building.
That's how it still works. Like,
well, that was
like
go
to a comedy club.
That was like you, Isaiah, for AAF anyway. Not your other jobs, but you were in sales.
Yes.
Right. But then it's like, okay, I do sales, but I also am on the air, and then occasionally, you know.
Correct. I had gone from the on air for so long to move into full sales. And the first 5 years of you and me knowing each other, I was just sales, right? I didn't touch. I did some voice work for Kevin to help out, to be another voice,
right?
But I was not getting anywhere near the studio because I never went to Ron and said I couldn't fucking cross those lines. This at this point was now Boston. It wasn't other markets. It was like, I can't. This ain't gonna work. No one's gonna. No, shut up. And when I left and started my business, that was when, it was my wife. I'll credit her. She's like, how are you not on the radio somewhere doing this? You love that shit. And I said, boop. And I called, you remember Mike Zarnecki?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Zarnecki. He's awesome. He's doing well in New Hampshire right now. He, when all those stations merged and went the way they went, RKO went over to iHeart, the Sports Hub went over to this one, everything switched around. We ended up getting Magic and Mix and all that, whatever the fuck. And I said to Mikey, I said, cause I lived in Malden at the time, and that was walking distance to where iHeart is, where KISS and ZLX.
Right.
I said, hey, there's Sunshine. I'm walking distance. I could come down, cut a weekend shift or something, maybe get back in and he goes, funny, I just got here. I don't quite have any access to ZLX, but you do realize 2 or 3 of us just left AAF. Because he had to go. Another kid went. And one of our other buddies ended up going to BZ News, and I think his mom passed or whatever. There were all of a sudden these spots, and I reached out to fucking RV. Him knowing what I'd done was one thing, but I was a salesperson in front of him for years. And I thought the guy was going to tell me to fucking fuck you, pound sand. Dude, that guy, as he's got a memory. He's go, yeah, you worked at Rock 101, WHEB back in the day. We've talked about this. Sure, go train with Carrie and go. I'm like, excuse me?
Also, while we're on this subject,
excuse me.
While we're on the subject, I already wrote down the time because I know I'm going to cut this out.
But yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I don't mean like.
How about
Hold
that?
on.
To take over the Christian AAF.
Hold on. Cut. So
I don't know. You know what?
No. Oh. No, but that was one of those, again, I think the whole purpose of is when you had that chance, and you're exactly right, Mike, that was like, okay, wait. And I'd already known Mike for years, literally, but it was funny though, walking in and we were doing Rock for Change. And I remember this to this day. You put on that, just like, okay, so you think you're coming into this fraternity now, you bitch? Mike looked at me, he goes, you're not getting my fucking show, asshole. And he walked out. You probably don't even remember that, but it was great.
No. I said that to every person they brought around. Ron would bring people and give me what he called, the nickel tour. And like, he goes, why don't you hang out here for about 10 minutes and just look at the studio and talk to Mike, and he'll give you the, everything, what's going on. Any part-timer, anybody he hired.
Yeah.
So they would hang out and I'd show them some stuff and talk about some things and be friendly. And then Ron would come back and he'd go, okay, we're good to go. And Ron would leave the studio and I go, hey, if you try to fucking take my job, I'm going to kill you.
And I'd known this motherfucker as a good friend for years, but he didn't care. He's like,
no, I know what that fucking business is like.
He's like, let me tell you something, Isaiah, you
Yeah.
ain't getting my fucking job.
You try to take my fucking job, I'll kill you. Only God can take my job. And she did.
And she did.
Yeah.
But that was that moment in time, and you're right. You're working part. But I'm not even kidding. Go back to what I originally said, Josh. If you think about the scale of things, I wanted to, as a kid growing up, work in Boston. It's all I had this obsession with, right? 30 fucking years later. That's why it was so emotional to me, because I'd lost my parents and I was just like, oh my God, because my dad was always like, be patient, be patient. And as part-time as it was, I was blessed to be able to play with you guys and do some really cool things on some of the full-time shows. But it's like, fucking, that's a message to anybody today. You think you're going to walk into something and just have it handed to you? You're out of your fucking mind. I don't care if you're bagging groceries and you want to own Shaw's. You bag the groceries for a while.
Right.
Plow the streets, sweep the steps,
shag the carts, fucking mop the floor, clean the
what
fucking
the
bathroom,
fuck?
asshole.
What the and
Right.
On the flip side, never give shit to those people that do that stuff. And I learned that on the sales side of things. If you're working on trying to get someone to do business with you and you have an opportunity to speak to somebody, don't be a fucking dick and treat that person less than you think they're the CEO. Because tomorrow, that motherfucker can be the CEO, or
Right.
that could be the son of the CEO. So
Right.
work on a little humility over here and just work your way in. Be nice, be kind, and God forbid you put some effort into it.
It's
So
a good rule to
that's
follow, but that also helps in any industry. I feel like, because
any
the people you meet on your way up, you're gonna meet them on the way down too.
fuck
Yep.
yeah.
That's
And
absolutely true.
you don't know if by the time you get to the top, that person you took a piss on is like, huh.
Mhm.
Good to see you, Mike. Remember when you were an
Yeah.
asswipe to me?
But
Interesting.
it comes down to what you said, Isaiah. Just don't be a dick. I mean, you don't. If you're like, if someone's like, at the grocery store and they're mopping the floor and you're like in charge of the cashiers or whatever, doesn't mean that you can be a dick just because you've worked there longer or have a higher position.
You're a team.
A really wise man once said to me, it takes 2 seconds to be a dick. It takes 2 seconds to be nice. It's a pretty quick decision.
Yep.
And that's all, and then he said, hey kid, did you see where I put my keys? So, but I always remember that. Always remember that. That was like when I first started with the morning show, and I kind of sat there, and he came in. And he's like, you reevaluating your decision. I said, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep doing this. And that's when he told me that. And he said, just don't. And then he said, don't let him wipe the smile off your face.
That's awesome.
And those are two things that are just like coming from a guy who could barely do the job, but at the same time, he knew people, and I've kept that with me. I should have gotten it tattooed to the back of my neck. Or
you still
something.
can.
It's tattooed in here.
It's just it's something that stayed. Yeah, I know it's tattooed here, along with a lot of other things about that guy. You ever seen his fucking balls? Jesus.
No, actually.
We're in Galway, Ireland, at this place called the Red Square Pub.
Brought to you by Jameson.
And no, that was Guinness. And,
or that.
So it was a weird setup, because you'd walk in the front door and there was a little like kind of front area, but the bar it was weird. It was like the next room was the bar, and there was a big opening, but the bar itself kind of came out at an angle, like the room was at an angle. So the corner of the bar was at that entrance. And so to get into that room, you had about 5 feet, maybe 4 feet of space. And there's no problem walking through it or anything, but it was a weird setup. It was almost like a bottleneck.
Yeah.
When it got crowded, people would kind of congregate there. So we're in there. We've had a few drinks, and the Galway University girls soccer team rolled in, and they went up to the bar, and they're all up there, and they're raising hell. And LB's like, "Oh, this is great." And so his move was just to take his pants off
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Took his pants off and stood in that space where the corner of the bar was, that squeezed and so he took up most of that space pantsless.
With his balls dangling.
Just
the greatest thing
tackle
was,
everything.
first of all, the girls weren't impressed. Secondly, the best part of the night was standing there and watching people trying to get by him.
Yeah.
Because that was the only way in and the only way out. That was the main entrance. And if you wanted to get to the rest of the club, there was like a whole nother like big room behind where the bar was. And that's where like the dancing was and the food part and everything. So you had to go through that little space. That's why I was saying it was kind of a weird setup. So you come in and there's this pantsless Canadian with his balls hanging out and he's swinging it, no hands. People are just giving it the old, trying to get by, kind of moving their body sideways so they don't touch his nuts.
I mean, if he tried that nowadays, he'd be carried out in a paddy wagon. I mean,
well, that's the thing. The bouncers were watching him the whole time, but they were too busy laughing their asses off.
Right. At how stupid it was.
And they would point at people. They would say, "Oh yeah, you just got to go through there. Yeah, you're all set." And they take the cover charge. You're all set. The thing's in the back, and you just got to go through there.
You
and
have to do a conga line.
And they'd point, and there'd be LB's ass.
Oh,
and they'd look, and they'd be like, "Oh," and it's like a guy with his date. I'm just thinking, it's like, hey, let's have a nice night out. Let's go have some drinks, maybe do a little dancing, and they walk in and then there's LB, and they're just like, oh, fucking great, man. It was fucking great.
Probably kept the crowd from getting rowdy because you don't want that guy fighting you that has no pants.
Right.
Well, probably not.
To his credit, the like one of the Irish state police, their version of the state police are called the Garda. And a couple of those guys walked in and they just said, "Hey, can you put your pants on?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry." And he just put his pants on. There was no incident or anything.
No.
And then he hung out with them and talked and stuff. And LB, you could make friend with a fucking fire hydrant. So
yeah. I mean,
right.
Everything is better with a signed 8x10,
Right.
Well,
That's right.
well, it's not a bad thing. So Josh, can we get into the whole thing that you sent us a text about making the thing happen later in the thing or can we not talk about the thing?
Or we just don't announce it.
All right then.
Yeah, let's just pretend.
This is why happens. I just said the thing about the thing. And if the thing happens, then we'll talk about the thing.
The thing will happen when the thing comes.
That's your promo right there.
Exactly. It should be the title too.
So today we talked about the thing and then a little bit about the Comedy Store.
And LB's thing at the bar.
LB's balls, the Comedy Store, the thing about the thing, and that's it.
This thing about the thing is great right now because I've been watching The Sopranos. And it's all like, did you talk to that guy about that thing we were looking at? The thing.
Did you go back and watch it from the beginning? I fucking love that show.
I never watched it before.
No way.
Yeah, I never watched it. I was one of those people never watched The Sopranos. In fact, what's his name? Greg Fitzsimmons made fun of me for that, right?
He said, "What do you read at night?"
He's like, "What are you doing? Reading?" I said, "Oh, no. I was." Oh
no, I get high and go to bed. Fuck off.
Yeah, he was so like, but not so. I watched The Many Saints of Newark first.
Yes,
so
yes.
That came out. I said, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna watch the movie and then I'll watch the series. It'll just be in like a natural order.
Lucia and I did the same thing.
I'm punching myself in the face for not watching it to begin with because it's just so good.
Now, are you in the season where they own the hockey team? Canterbury Trashers.
You're getting that mixed up with the Galantes.
Oh, that's right.
Have you talked to AJ yet about his new venture?
I haven't.
Are we gonna have him on?
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys if you wanted to have him on again.
He's genius. That's genius. What do like most people love about hockey?
The fighting, goals,
right?
And fighting.
And so he just started. It's just a hockey league with just fighting, basically.
Awesome.
He just did this now?
No. He's like, he was supposed to come on a while ago, but he was working on this thing. And so he said, let's talk after I announce it. And he announced it. And it's basically a fighting league like MMA. It's basically like hockey, but there's no actual hockey. It's just the fighting part. So two guys will come on the ice in skates and fight.
Oh, dude.
That's the league.
Hold on. One of the original members.
Cheddar.
The way you're holding that cat, it looks like it's abnormally large.
Fucking look at. All right, let's see.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's been watching cat shows.
That's a huge pussy.
Yeah, but this is fucking Cheddar. Cheddar's on some of our merchandise. Look at that guy.
Look at that, man. That's a healthy cat.
He's living a tough life right here with his sister Speedy, right?
He looks really stressed out.
Nah, he's good. You good? He wanted to say hi. He's like, put me on another t-shirt, Josh. Stop fucking around.
But
we should try to get AJ on to talk because that's a genius. That's like starting a whole other NASCAR organization, but just crashes. Right.
So do they go on the ice and they just fight?
They fight on the ice. So it's like a boxing league or a MMA or fighting league, but on ice.
Do they play the game?
No, there's no game.
Isaiah.
It's just the fights.
Think of boxing, but on
they get two guys on the ice to fight. They have a hockey fight.
They
did
try and get something like this going in like the early 2000s, and I think LB was actually supposed to be in it. And then there was something like that. The government put a stop to it, or like the sports fight commission. I don't know. Somebody.
It'll get canceled by some bitch.
Somebody couldn't figure out how to regulate it and get money from it.
Yeah.
And license it. But I'm sure the Galantis know a guy. So
dude, get him back on. That would be awesome. We still need to get jerseys. We got to get jerseys. We would wear those. We would do all the stuff.
Yes. Oh, that was one of the questions I know your number, Isaiah. What number would you have on a jersey shoe?
Here we go. Shocking. I told you what it would be.
420.
Oh,
3 numbers at genius.
Come on.
1, 2, 3, 420.
What do you think? I was going to say 69.
I thought so.
Somebody's already taken that. That fucking dude from Buffalo's already taken that.
He's Josh is working on some things for us.
Yeah.
I mean, based on how Josh moves, this will be around Christmas time that we see the fucking things.
Things take. Listen,
nothing takes this long. Get me your fucking brother's resume.
That has nothing. I'm helping.
It has to do with the Dolan bloodstream. Come on, chop chop.
I'm going through the same thing, man. My daughter's
slow.
My daughter's 17, and she doesn't have her permit yet. Doesn't even have her permit.
My brother's 18. He doesn't have his license yet. I'm like,
again, what happened?
Fast enough.
What happened? Because once I turned 16, I couldn't get out of the house and take that test fast enough.
Oh, dude, 15 and a half. Remember that? Right? Just boom.
It was
gone.
just
no reason to go anywhere.
Fucking car. Right? No,
there is bullshit. Reason to go. Bullshit. That's a fucked up generation thought right there.
A car is freedom. Don't you ever listen to fucking Bruce Springsteen? A car means freedom. That's what that is. A car is part of the American dream.
These kids have grown up. These kids have grown up on only the internet. All they know is internet.
Right.
I feel like my generation is the last that remembers life before the internet, and then it kind of hit like around like probably 5th grade, so like middle school.
Right.
And they've just grown up with everything being like on your phone or on a iPad.
Why go anywhere when you can get everything already in the palm of your hand, right?
You can call Uber.
Right?
You need food.
Exactly.
You can have it brought to you.
I
used to have to ride my bike if I wanted food.
We're turning into the big giant fat people that float around on those chairs in that movie, Wall-E.
Wall-E, yes.
Yeah, we're turning into those people. And it's like, why go anywhere? Why get in a car and go anywhere and get into trouble when you can watch someone else do it on your phone?
So stupid.
And it's like, I'm in the same way. It's like, I'm not gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
You have to set this up yourself. I'll take you anywhere. I'll help you with anything, but you have to make the appointment. You have to take the test. She already knows how to drive. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened is screens. You're exactly right. The opportunity to be entertained at an endless level is right in the palm of your hand.
Entertainment, 6 guys in a car driving down to Amherst to buy a bag of weed.
Right.
That's entertainment.
Yeah.
Right? Entertainment. Ready? Entertainment. the movie Stand By Me.
Right?
I just watched that again the other night, dude. That popped. Actually, no, it was late. Lucia had fallen asleep, and I just finished watching a hockey game or something. And I was like, I want to watch a movie, but I want something that's not fucking. And I was just like, you know what? Boom. And I watched that thing soup to nuts, and it's fucking just so good. There were no phones. There's no shit. They lied to their parents and said they were sleeping over each other's houses and marched down the railroad tracks to find a body.
Right.
For 2 days, slept in the woods. It just, again, going outside.
No
I remember
plan.
that as a kid.
The plan was to see a dead body, but no plan on how to get there, right?
Or what to do when you found it.
Just go, right? Just get up and go, right? That's what I was saying at the beginning. What happened?
Oh,
everyone's drinking Pink Whitneys and taking fucking selfies. All they're fucking doing.
That was when my thing started to go out because I said Fireball and I wanted to hear it. My thing went out. But you're right.
The funniest thing Isaiah was like, yeah, they just opened up a weed, and then he froze up, and me and Josh were like, a what? A weed? What?
We'll never know.
What did he say? He said weed. The last thing he said was weed.
I was talking about the weed store they opened in Midden Square in Salem, and I was happy they did it because I want to go over there and buy a bunch of fucking gummies. And Josh, I won't take them all.
Yeah,
I will take.
Don't pull a Dolan.
I don't
know.
Well, don't come to me for
trust me, I've had more THC in my body than certainly not Mike, but a few people. Hey, did you do the Harvest Cup this year again, Mike?
Well, yeah, I did it back in November. Yeah.
Wow, I feel like I forgot to ask you about that.
No, we talked about it, but you were so high, you forgot.
Yeah,
most likely.
Somebody has a rewards card at the weed store.
I like it. There's one coming to town.
Yeah, the Harvest, and I'm judging again this year. And
Good.
I'm judging. I'm judging. Oh, I can't talk about what I'm judging. But they are. The Jen and Jeremy are just the best people.
So nice.
They throw a great event. So the Harvest Cup is going to be again, I believe, in November. So if you grow weed and you're really good at it, if you make any kind of butters or syrups or edibles, if you are someone who has a weed related product or business, you should show it at the Harvest Cup, because we had thousands of people come through, including Wu-Tang Clan and Mike Tyson. So
that's fucking cool.
You should definitely go to theharvestcup.org and look into getting involved, because it's a great event for cannabis.
Hey, now, Josh, have we sold any houses for One Worcester Homes yet?
They haven't told me. I don't know.
One Worcester Homes, new sponsor. Everyone's happy. Life is good. Let's sell some homes for them.
And you can go to their website, oneworcesterhomes.com. And if you need a website for your business, go to Invoke Media. Solutions. It's solutions now.
Yes, it's solutions.
Invoke Solutions.
All right, you guys. I gotta duck out now.
Also, one of the things I was gonna, I guess that's the podcast. Good night.
It's a good chunk of it. No, it's a good chunk of it.